What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. It's your first time joining the show. Welcome to the show. We got a good one for you today. Like my man Steve Harvey done say, is Joe Gatto. Joe Gatto. You know Joe Gatto? Wonderful comedian, great comedic personality from the Impractical Jokers, as it were. He's on tour. He's jumping around the country. He's very funny. Go see the guy. Go see Joe Gatto. Tell him Santino sent you. I'm also on tour, finishing up this year with Bobby Lee, me and Bobo. We're doing Bad Friends Live, but hey, it's more than that. It's not just a podcast. It's actually not a podcast at all. It's us doing live stand-up comedy. You get a big chunk of stand-up, then you get bits from the show, you get audience participation, interaction. It's so much fun. Got to come see us. Go to badfriendspod.com. Badfriendspod.com. We got Milwaukee, Chicago, Minneapolis, Madison coming up. And then in the new year, we jump over to Atlantic City, Salt Lake City, Temecula, Reno, Sacramento, Long Beach, Windsor, Ontario, Canada, then Niagara Falls, Canada, Tucson, and we finish it off on 420 in Las Vegas. Dude, come out and see us. Go to badfriendspod.com, badfriendspod.com. Enough rambling from me. Let's go to the episode.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You're that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
I love these sneaks, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm a huge guy who likes sneakers.
You're a sneak guy.
No.
Well, oh, you're not?
No.
That's funny.
I got these.
Because Sal is a freak.
Sal, it's hysterical. Me and Sal did that Joe LaPuma show together.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, it was hysterical because he knows everything about sneakers and I know nothing. And LaPuma was like, you guys got to come on. And I was like, you don't understand. I just buy shoes by the look. I don't care, whatever they are.
But
and Sal's
fine.
like, are those the new hatchback 440s? And I'm like, I don't know, buddy.
Hatchback 440s. Dude, are those the front boot? Are those the front boot 19s?
I'm like, he like freaks out when I get a crease in them. I'm like, if they don't have a crease, I don't feel like they're used.
See, I'm like you. I have nice shoes.
I saw.
Well, those were gifts. But I have nice shoes, but I was a sneaker guy when I was younger.
Yeah.
I didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And then now people get appalled if I buy them. I'm wearing them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ruining them.
100%. Take them right out of the plastic.
What is the point?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, I am a big golfer, and I have Michael Jordan. Jordan makes golf shoes now.
Yeah.
And of course, I was a big Jordan brand guy when I was a kid. So it's like, wow, my childhood through golf now.
Right.
And making golf cool for the first time for whites, And I bought all the Jordans. And then some people are like, whoa, dude, like, those are like so rare to get now. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you're just ruining. And
It's like opening a Star Wars figure.
Yeah, right, yeah. For them, they're like, no.
Oh, God. It's a Han Solo original.
Who gives a shit? Well, otherwise, that's my whole thing is like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? I guess I've become that way about a lot of stuff. Not in a minimalist sense, but like, hey, man, whatever. What am I saving it for?
100%.
Like, what is the point? I never got that. Like,
You grew up with good sneakers?
no.
No, because I grew up in the hood where I couldn't have good sneakers.
No.
I
We
had
didn't have good
Voights.
sneakers,
I had
no.
Voights, a Kmart brand Voight that were like knockoff Asics.
Get your Voight
They
on.
were the best, and I made them cool. I did.
Yeah,
I
you
really
did.
rocked them out. Yeah.
No, we didn't have. My mother couldn't afford
Yeah.
really nice stuff. I mean, I probably got like a nice pair of Adidas. You know what I mean? Of shell toes or something.
Yeah, I got all those.
That when
Favorite
those were
shoe.
that was a nice new shoe to
Yeah,
wear to
yeah.
school. But no, my mom.
Shell tops are my favorite.
So
I get them
cool.
like every color.
They were so cool.
Yeah.
But my mom couldn't buy me a pair. There's the Voights right there. Wow, those are clean.
Yeah, baby.
My
yeah.
God.
I had that pair right there, the one in the middle, the blue and one. That
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy. That was me. I rocked those babies out. I used to do this thing where I used to pretend like they were cool, and people were like, "What makes Voight so cool?" I'm like, "It's the grip, bro." And I used to stand. My friend had a deep stoop, and I used to jump on a stoop and be able to stand there. And people believed it was the shoe. It was so dumb.
The deep grip. It's the deep grip, dog.
Why, bro? That's why we get it.
You're not worried about arch and grip. That's all I look
No,
for in
that's it,
shoes.
man.
Arch and
Cover.
grip, baby.
That's why I'm here.
We've already started, but I want to just give a proper introduction for our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean it once again. Today is Joe Gatto.
Hey.
You got to say it like that,
I'm
don't
here.
you? Joe Gatto.
That's the only way I walk into
I
a room.
feel, right? Hey, it's Joe Gatto. But I thank you for coming, buddy. We started off talking about shoes because you're wearing some cool hip shoes, but I've had this discussion recently with a few people about using the thing that you buy or doing the thing that you buy. I think it comes with time and perspective because my old man is, had a bunch of health complications. And the more that we're going through this as a family.
Still here?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, thank God. But the more that we go through this as a family, the more we're able to joke about stuff, and the more we're like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I don't care anymore. I'm done with like we'll save for this. It's like, no. Go.
No.
Go do
Nothing
it.
adds perspective like that.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
My dad got pancreatic cancer. He died when I was 19. Thanks for
sorry.
bringing it up.
Yeah.
And
well, I did want to pry.
Thanks for touting your live father in my face. But
two of them. I have a stepdad and a real dad.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, sorry,
You're fantastic, man.
I'll make one of them call you.
just send the card.
Yeah.
When he literally got diagnosed and he booked a family trip to Vegas. And he's like, we're going to Vegas. And he told me, he's like, get a fake ID. I want to gamble with you before I die. And he taught me how to play blackjack in Vegas, which was awesome. And I was like, and I've always carried that throughout. It's always been like, it's only green paper. Like, do what you can, be responsible, but like have fun, spend it while you're here. Like, that's always been my thing. I've always lived like that kind of like generous life of just like, come along, let's everybody just celebrate.
What else
we're
can
doing.
we do with it?
Yeah, and I think that really does add perspective. For
100%.
Sure.
When someone you really love either passes or is going through something, man, your brain just kind of like
it's different.
Like
you
rewires.
get reprogrammed. It's nuts.
You're like,
It's nuts.
this is all.
This
bullshit.
is what's important,
right?
Yeah.
This is the only thing that matters,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
All the nonsense that you kind of keep in your brain about, and it's tough to get out of, especially in our culture, which I think the pandemic ironically helped, where people were like, go to work, do the thing, go home, do the thing, do the thing, do the, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of cracked that code of, is this how we should be living with each other?
Right.
Like seeing each other for, 4 hours a day at most before you go to bed.
Right.
Because as a kid growing up, both of my parents worked. I mean, shit, my mom still won't retire. And
She won't.
No,
What
man.
does she do?
She runs marketing for a property management company that owns a bunch of the larger companies that own all these high rises in Chicago, where we grew up. When I was a kid,
you're in Chicago?
we lived in these buildings that my mom's company worked for. So I think we got a little
Perks.
Well, we got Section 8'd, which was nice. Because we were able to slide into a single income, single parent home. So these nicer apartment buildings, my mom got to apply through the company, was like, hey, I'm a single mother. And they're like, yeah, go ahead.
Amazing.
It was great. So we lived in these nicer apartment buildings when it was just her and I. But, she just won't retire. And they've worked my whole life. And when I was a kid, I didn't come home to like, apple pies on the counter. No way. It was what's in the fridge.
Yeah.
And
find something.
Yeah, what's loose? Yeah, what's loose? What's loose?
Can he eat that?
Right. Can he eat that?
Let's see. On tonight's episode, we have meatloaf.
So we think. No, it is true because when I was a kid, when I was little, when it was just me and my mom, I used to love to eat. This is so gross, but I used to love in the middle of the night if I wanted a snack. I would watch Carson, which she always said I would always turn on Carson, and I would watch Carson and eat cold hot dogs. Cold hot dogs. But this is what's funny is people,
Cooked or no?
No, see, this is what's interesting.
Straight dog from the...
Don't you know they're cooked? They're all cooked. This is what's funny. People go, raw hot dogs.
yeah.
Like, no, they're never raw. They're always cooked. They're just cold. So I would eat them cold in front of the window, and I'd watch Carson, and I'd stare down at the
Bunless,
traffic.
cold dog in it, watching Carson?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, wow.
I'd raw glizzy, dude. I'd just eat it raw, baby. And slices of
Snap
American
it.
cheese.
I guess it's
No,
really
I
just-
didn't snap it. I ate it whole. I'd suck it whole,
that's
spit it out, suck it whole.
It's great. It's pretty normal. I guess it's just, you were like an innovator, because that's just beef jerky, really.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just non-hardened beef jerky,
floppy
floppy
jerky, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was my little late night snack as a kid because, my mom, when I was a kid, didn't have a lot of time to cook because she was working full time anyway. So, we kind of just had. She used to make me eat liver and onions. Did you have to eat that when you were a kid?
No, we didn't do liver and onions in my house. I mean, my mom would put cheese on anything and make it Parmesan, though. Like,
Right.
So, you know what I mean?
That's the Italian.
Yeah.
My mom's the Irish one of my family.
Okay.
So I was growing up under, potato rules. It was like, how much nasty, cheap shit could we eat?
Yeah.
But liver and onions we used to eat because back in the, in the late 80s, they used to be like, it's so healthy and it's so good for you, but it's the worst smelling. Liver is so gross.
So gross.
I don't care how you make it.
My mom
man.
was big on sardines. She loved the sardine and Melba toast.
Ugh.
That was like a snack when I came home from school. She's like, "Do you want sardines and Melba toast?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "What's your snack?" She's like, "Sardines and Melba toast." I'm like,
You're like, I guess I'm outside walking around again, eating the air.
I'm walking around with a sardine. You're walking around with a hot dog. That's me and you just roaming the
Are
streets.
these kids okay? Do we need to call Child Protective Services? No, but when you were a kid, were your parents both working, or did you grow up? Did you have a loving mother who was there?
A little bit of both. My dad was vice president of a life insurance company, which which actually worked out well because he definitely did some deals when he found out he had the cancer. He left my mom with like a nest egg.
I was just
He's the
about
other
to
people
say.
like called in every favor.
Yeah.
My dad was a super nice guy. Everybody liked him. Really, really good dude. And so like he definitely like hooked it up at the end because when he passed away, my mother was like, "What?" But she didn't grow up. My dad didn't want anybody else to raise the kids. So
Right.
she raised the kids. But then my mom became the school secretary when I was in 7th and 8th grade of my school.
No.
At a Catholic school in Staten Island called St. Adalbert's. It was all nuns and my mother. Right, so whenever you got in trouble in the school, they did this thing where they put you in the hallway and you had to stand and face a corner, right? Like that's what you did.
What was that?
So
That
we ended
was
up fighting.
so
It's so
weird.
dumb, right? So it was so funny because my mother was the only person in the building that wore heels. And it had those long hallways, so you would hear her click clacking, right? So then when I knew I was in trouble and I was standing, I didn't get in trouble much, but you know it happened a handful of times. And I'd be up against the corner, and I'd be just like trying to hide as best I could, Blair Witching it, like getting as close, nose to friggin' cinder block, just trying to get in there. And I would hear click, 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 and they were like. Click, 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 and she would come behind me and grab the back of my head and be like, we've been at Catholic school, and she'd be like, "You're fucking dead when we go home. You're dead. I'm going to kill you. You're dead. You're dead. You embarrass me. You're dead." And then she'd walk away like, "Hey, sister, whatever."
Right. Hi, Sister Mary. Just saying hi to my son.
Oh, that rascal.
Yeah, that son of a gun.
So, yeah, that was, so my mom started working then.
In the school is wild.
Yeah.
See, that happened. Like my wife's mom worked in their school for a while, and she said it was, it was amazing to see her mom.
Yeah.
But she was like, it was tough because the kids would make fun of you because your mom is there, and it was like a thing. It was like a tease-worthy thing, and she was like, it was beautiful because my mother was there, but also kids are assholes.
Right.
Kids are assholes.
My mom, people like my mom because she wasn't a religious figurehead. She was like one of the.
Right, she was a
the
normie.
A normie. Yeah. The rest all just had.
So you guys grew up. You were Catholic.
I grew up. Yeah. I
yeah.
went through. We met in Catholic high school. Me and the boys. So we all went to Catholic high school all the way through. Yeah.
And only some of you kept some of the good soul in you, right?
I think most of us abandoned it as soon as we could. Hollywood does that to you, but we
really when you sell your soul to the devil, baby.
Yeah, no, we
you signed that TBS blood
that's
contract.
yeah,
I
know. It's like, why don't you have a pen? Why am I pricking myself? We did. Yeah, I grew up Catholic, and then I really think we're religion. It was weird because I have kids, so my wife is Muslim actually, so she's not practicing and I'm not practicing. And it was like, all right, what are we going to raise these kids? And then we were like, how about like nothing? Like we'll just
free.
Yeah, we'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
And then when they start asking questions, we'll go. But now my kids are at the age when they start asking questions, and my in-laws live with me who are devout Muslims.
Ooh.
So they start, they're like,
they want it to be right. They're pushing.
They're
for
pushing their agenda, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, don't worry about it. Open up a web browser.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're fine. But
there is no fire and brimstone, dude. Relax.
You'll be chill. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Worry about it later.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like we'll get into talks about like evolution at the table. Like my daughter, it'd be like, we used to be monkeys or something like that, whatever. And my father-in-law would like go off and be like, no, like, and it's just weird to like navigate that now.
Yeah.
And then my son now is like, he just starts saying this saying. He's like, well, nobody knows except God. Like that's what he's throwing around. And I'm like, he's 6. And I'm like, where'd you hear that? I'm like,
Grandpa,
we don't know.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting to have like crossing that like milestone now.
Well, what's good about this is I think they're getting from you this kind of ultimate open-mindedness of like, well, figure it out. You're not a like a staunch atheist. You're just kind of a agnostic,
Yeah,
right?
it's like live a good life. That's
Right,
really what it
right.
is.
And so in that regard, it's kind of an open-ended thing. And then the other side is someone who is religious. So they're getting to kind of weave both worlds and
I like
choose,
it.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
I like
Where
it.
in my world, when I was a kid, it was like, you better. You know what I mean? It was just punishment. It's like,
You're going to hell. You're going to hell. You're going to hell.
And I am. But no, but I mean, God, the pressure we would get, and if we were like late to church, man, my dad would
forget
be
it.
so mad. It was like the day was ruined if we were late to church. And it's like, we're going to be late. We're late every time.
Yeah.
Well, they should still
Why
start
should we
later.
start? Yeah.
Why are we starting on time?
Are you
We were Catholic as a kid.
Yeah.
And then when I got older, for some reason, my stepdad wanted to be, not wanted, but he found Presbyterian churches, which are like diet
bit more
Catholic.
fun?
Well, yeah.
Half the sugar.
It's like Catholic, you can take your shoes off. Yeah, right. Presbyterians are like Coke Zero. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha,
It's not.
gotcha.
It's the
It has all the hits, but there's a couple footnotes.
Yeah. There's a couple of amendments where you're like, oh, let's change a few things. What is it? Not preacher. Yeah, the pastor. Or
Pastor,
whatever.
yeah.
They can get married.
That would have been. I was almost a priest. That was the thing.
What?
For me. Yeah, I wanted to be.
Wow.
I wanted a family. So I was like, I can't.
Presbyterian. They can get married. They have kids.
See, I didn't know that much.
They all at our church when I was a kid. They all had. Yeah, they all had families, and and one couple, the wife and the husband were together. One of them would speak some days, the other one would speak the other one, which was convenient for them.
I feel like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it was
In
was
the
great.
multiverse of madness, I guess there's a Joe Gatto who's a Presbyterian pastor out there.
Let's go, dude. Next life.
That's it,
Click
man.
that ticket, dude.
Were you an altar boy?
No, dude. No. They wouldn't let me. I was a bad boy. I was such a punk kid.
Really?
I was such a troublemaker, man. Well, because, I grew up with a single mother. My dad was gone. So it was kind of like I was bound for trouble.
Right.
I loved getting in trouble. I wanted to be disrespectful.
Well, people were looking at
Authority
you, right?
was-
Is that what it was?
What was it?
People were like looking at you? Is that what is it? An attention thing?
I just think it was like, you want attention.
Yeah.
And the no dad rules, you do whatever you want. Because mom can only hit you so hard. Do you know what I mean? Like when dad comes in and hits you, you start to get in check. But if you're young and dad's not around, just no.
My
mom can't knock you out.
My mom was, you didn't mean my mom, man.
Well,
she was
yeah,
a fire.
look, there's a couple that got a couple hooks.
She was from the streets, Jerry Gatto. She was a 5'0" Sicilian, batshit crazy woman. Loved her. My dad only hit me once. My dad was like the kind of guy just with a look, like you shut up, like that kind of thing. But where I was like, when I got a little bit older, like 14, 15, I started like getting funny. And I started, when you get that wit and you don't realize like the power you yield.
Oh, yeah,
like
man.
you're too quick. And I was quicker than my mother. And we were doing it back and forth with her. And I was like, and we're sitting there eating. My dad used to sit at the head of the table. I was on his left. And my dad we're just eating. And my mom says something. I said, oh, Ma, stop being such a bitch. And my father, without even lifting his face, just boom, right in the stomach. I fell on the floor. And he goes, you never call her that again.
Yeah. That's the last time that happens?
That was it.
Pass the peas.
Yeah.
Now, I never did that. I never cussed at my parents or anything in that regard.
I think
But,
that was the one time I did.
man, we got smoked, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a dining room table you could run around?
No,
That
it
was the big thing.
wasn't
That was
big
my
enough.
savior.
There's
yeah.
only 4 of us.
Okay, we had this dining room table that was like an oval that we used to just wear my mom out. It'd be like a
Running around.
racetrack,
Yeah.
like a dog race.
Nah, because my parents were in cahoots. That one of them would stand at one end just to stop you from going through. So you were bound. One would create a dam. You were gonna get caught.
You got beavered.
Yeah, you were gonna get smoked, dude. You were gonna get smoked. If you messed up, you messed up.
Yeah.
And sometimes my dad would say, "I don't even feel like being angry at you," because he's so mad. He's like, "I'll let you talk to your mom," because then she'll make you feel bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
Disappointment was a power they wielded in my
Man,
house. Yeah.
he could hurt you,
Yeah.
but she could make you feel bad.
Yeah.
It's a big difference, and that happened one of the first times I got caught smoking weed. My dad came down to the basement, and he was like, "I don't even want to talk to you," and I was like, "Well, I'm sorry," and I'm doing that whole thing, and he goes, "No, you talk to your mom." And I knew she would come down. She did a whole thing,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh man, I wish I got hit."
Yeah, I know.
I kind of wanted to get hit.
better.
It would have been so much easier to just get hit.
I punished myself once. That's how bad they had me in their lock of disappointment. There was a pop quiz. I was a really good student, but there was a pop quiz, and for some reason I just didn't nail it. And I got like a 70. And I remember this. Like
See?
I had 70. Like,
Buddy, you're talking. That's my wheelhouse.
So I was like,
Jesus.
So my father was at work, and I took the 70 and I put it on the fridge with a magnet, and I wrote on a post-it note, "You could be better," and I signed it like I made a contract to myself. I put it on there. I disconnected my Nintendo,
No.
and I put it in the drawer, and I was just sitting in my room in the dark when my father came home.
Oh my
And
God.
my father was like, dude, it's 1 grade. You'll be fine. He's like, they offer extra credit. Like, he talked me off a ledge. Like, it was so bad.
Wow, you were that good of a student, huh?
Yeah, I was pretty good, yeah.
Wow, man. But how, as someone who's
Because you seem so dumb.
yeah, really. I mean, thank you. I didn't want to say it, but no, but it's like
Your face said it.
most comics are, dude. Most comics that I'm friends with, right? Like the guys that I'm the closest with over the years. Most of us were too ornery for school. Yeah. Like most comics I meet, are comedians, writers, anyone in our comedy world, even just like a comedic actor that I meet, most of them were smart. Most people I meet, like, you're an intelligent guy, and they were just a little too buzzy to sit in class. Like my teachers would always say the same things. Yeah. Andrew would be a phenomenal student if he cared to pay any attention. Yeah. Because I would take the test and I would get a B- and I didn't listen to one thing they said. So it pissed them off because they'd be like, dude, if he applied himself, it would be unbelievable. Yeah. Which I would later do in college because it was a degree I cared about because that's what I wanted to go to school for. Yeah. But high school and stuff, I just couldn't care less. Right. So it was tough for me, but most guys, that's interesting, that I meet in the comedy world, they were just, school was tough, really tough. Traditional school, because it's like, God, all I want to do is goof off and make people laugh and have fun. Yeah. And this sit and listen and sit and listen, and it was to me, it was literal torture. I mean, I would just stare at the clock waiting for the bell.
Were you always funny? I didn't get funny till I was older.
I was funny. Yeah, you have to be funny when you look like me, dude.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. When you're
Same boat. I picked it up later.
When
though.
you're orange when I was a kid, these things were wide open. My grandfather used to be like, "You look like a taxi coming down the road with the doors open." I mean, dude, I was such a goofball looking kid that I got, when I was a kid, I went to a school where that's high school, baby. There you go. You wanna
wow.
see real goofball looking.
Wow,
junior high.
That's the before?
Yeah.
You panned out well, buddy.
Yeah,
you
it
did
worked.
great, man.
Yeah, talk about a glow up. Jesus Christ. And the hair got better.
You nailed
More
it.
glow. Yeah, there's me by the lake.
Oh my goodness!
How bad do you want to push that kid into the lake?
I feel like that's on the back of a milk carton.
Yeah. Except it's not find this kid. It's please steal this
Steal
kid.
this kid.
Yeah, please
It's like
take him.
taking applications.
Yeah, look at
you.
my mother made me tuck my shirts in when I was a kid. That's because if I got a nice shirt.
Oh, there you look adorable.
That's me, yeah. But if I got a nice shirt when I was a kid, my mom was very particular about keeping the clothes nice. It's because it's not like, we had tons of nice stuff. So if I got like a nice new polo shirt,
2 or 3 new nice
you better
shirts.
keep it real nice.
100%.
Tuck it in, clean it, don't get schmutz on it or
You're
any of
not
that stuff.
eating any sauces.
No, dude. Chicken fingers with no sauce.
No, you're gonna straight- I'm feeding you. Open
butter
your mouth.
noodles. Yeah, butter noodles. That's all I had. No, but I never could sit. I never could sit still, and
I wasn't like that.
Rambunctious, man. Yeah, no, but now you're as a comedian, as a writer, as a performer. Now, do you feel like you're more buzzy than you were when you were a kid because you're constantly going and moving and doing and none?
100%.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah, I can't. I don't. Even when I perform, I'm not it's funny because when I started with stand up a couple years ago, like I started in the comedy clubs, and I'd always done theaters with the boys. Like we'd always done big stages.
Huge
so
theaters,
I remember
by the way.
first time, So the first time I got on, like I was in Appleton, Wisconsin. I'm on this little stage. I'm like, I felt like a caged animal. Like I can't, because when I perform, I'm like all over the map.
Right.
Like the spotlight people hate me because they have to follow me. I don't stop moving. 65 minutes, I'm going the whole time. I lose them half the time. And I just felt way more natural, like on a bigger stage. So that was a huge thing because I'm a physical guy too. I'm a physical comedian. So it was like, I was like, this isn't working for me. I didn't feel like it. And then I had my first theater show, and I was like, oh, I need room.
Yeah,
that's
you
what it
need
is,
room.
So,
Yeah.
and I just feel like I'm always like doing that, even
Because you feel, that's why I guess I'm still stunned by the fact that you were so calm in school as a kid, because you're kind of larger than life. You're of all the guys, I think you have a very like alive physical personality, right? Like Sal is the dumb one. I'm kidding.
It's debatable. It's a 4-way tie. I think,
Yeah.
between us.
Oh, it really is, yeah. There's 4 morons.
In here, we pour whiskey.
As a whiskey man, I got to tell you, it's getting a little bit harder the next day. Sometimes I have one too many sodas with some friends, and I wake up on the couch feeling not so good. All right? It gets harder as time goes on, and that's why Z-Biotics is here to help. Their pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It's amazing. Developed by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after you've been sipping on that sauce. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. That's why you get them bubbly guts. And it's this byproduct that I'm talking about, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough time that next morning. A lot of people think it's dehydration. You should hydrate, drink some water, drink a bunch of water, but also you need something like this. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic produces an enzyme to break that negative byproduct down inside of your gut. And you got to take it with the first drink of the night. That's the deal. You take it with the first drink responsibly as the night goes on, have a couple of glasses of water, and then you feel much, much better the next day because it goes to work. Every time I've used this, I felt very good. Of course, you got to drink responsibly. Don't be a fool. Don't be a goof, but the next day feels so much more calm. You don't get that anxiety that we all refer to when you're kind of like a little jittery and upset that you partied too hard and too long the night before. And I'm telling you, this stuff works. If you're someone that likes to sip on the sauce, you got to try this. You have to try it out. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, so make sure you stock up on Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic before the big feast. You'll be thankful you did the next day. Go to zbiotics.com/whiskey to get 15% off your first order when you use the code whiskey at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they're going to refund your money. No questions asked. Come on. What more do you want? Remember, head over to zbiotics.com/whiskey. Use the code whiskey at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and to our good times. This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by Rabbit Hole Distillery and their one-of-a-kind Kentucky bourbon and rye whiskeys. I've been talking about them for a long time. Behind This award-winning spirit is the story of their founder, Kaveh Zamani, and a successful 20-plus year career he had as a psychologist, dumped it, just got rid of it, and went down the rabbit hole to craft some of the finest spirits. He was just inducted, by the way, into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. Pretty impressive. What I love about this stuff, genuinely, is it is truly small batch. A lot of people say theirs is. It's not. Okay, they produce under 15 barrels. They ensure quality in every single drop. This is very good sauce. It's priced very well. You can find it everywhere across the United States, no matter where you live. It's great to hold on to if you got a nice grip, huh? You want a nice grip, little friendly pour. You got a good grip on this thing. And a lot of brands say they got toasted and charred barrels. They don't. These guys do. They guarantee it. They got 4 distinct expressions. And I've had them all. I love them all. Cave Hill is great. That's their triple malt bourbon. High Gold is the high rye. Double malt bourbon. Boxer Grail is that sour mash rye. And honestly, even if you're not a rye person, this is very good. You might be calling yourself a rye guy too soon. But lately, I've been sip-sapping on some of the Derringer. This stuff is finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry casks. So good. Little hints of cherry behind that, dried fruit, a little bit of wine, kind of tastes a little bit of vino. Have you slipping away into Happy Town with this stuff? Trust me, you got to grab yourself some Rabbit Hole. Give it a try. Let me know online how much you like it. They got 4 of those expressions, and go to rabbitholedistillery.com/buy now. rabbitholedistillery.com/buy now. Use the promo RABBIT for $5 off your first order. Drink responsibly. Have fun.
Ginger. I like gingers.
No, but you just do have this big, very large presence to you that it's interesting that that's who you were as a kid, because you kind of have this you have this physicality to you that goes back to the days of the stuff that we've talked about on this show before that I love, the old comedies. I think my favorite comedies were so much more physical and large
100%.
and big-bodied, and I feel like nowadays we're much smaller, which I guess that's just the times, but man, I love a good pratfall. I love watching someone eat shit. It's just funny.
It's the best.
It's just funny. Like even just like even something like the scene in Dumb and Dumber when he's on the toilet at the truck stop and he kicks the door in, and the way he screams.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I want so much more of that again.
Right.
It's so simple,
Right.
and you feel it so much more. But that's kind of disappearing in film comedy. But we're trying to bring it back, at least in our world.
100%.
And what
we're
we're
film
doing.
comedy's got a lot more wordy and premisey, and it's like sometimes I feel like it's trying to be too smart. And remember, like, people just want to laugh and they don't want to think as much. I think
they just wanna laugh.
That's why you look back at, like, I still remember one of my favorite things ever was Chevy Chase falling down the flight of stairs at comedy. It was an award show. I forget which one it was.
I know. I'm trying to think of what it was.
I think it was an Oscars or an Emmys or whatever, and he fell down the stairs, and I used to, like, watch that on loop. I was like, that was unbelievable. But even for me growing up, Looney Tunes was my jam. I just loved Wile E. Coyote, and they never said a word. And I just loved the physical comedy and all that. I could watch it for hours.
Well, that's what they say. Like, great. I can't remember who told me this. This is really weird, but someone said, great comedy, to make a really great comedy in the visual sense, like on television or film or whatever, if you can turn the volume off,
Watch
do you
it on
still
mute.
know what's going on, and is it funny?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really powerful. I don't even know what director said that to me, but I was like, oh man, is that true for all? And then you start to think, yeah, there's a lot of comedies, if they're good enough. It doesn't even need to be like break a thing, fall through a thing.
No.
But if the liveliness is big enough,
The facial expressions
I get
or
it.
whatever, yeah.
And I know. I mean, you go back to silent comedies and you're like, oh, right.
Yeah.
I knew the whole story without knowing anything at all.
100%.
And you're right. Nowadays, I feel like we are getting just, a lot of stuff is like wordy, and we're trying to be really clever. You know,
The
like
clever is
it's
really
just
where
the
you get
cleverness is tough. Like we went to see Barbie. I went to go see that, and it had a lot of funny stuff in it. But it's trying to be snarky and clever and underhanded, which is fine. But I don't know. You kind of want, just like hit me with how dumb it's. Because by the way, what we're doing is dumb. I mean,
100%.
What if this is all fake?
Yeah, I know.
This is so stupid. Like
if you're trying to do a message, do a drama. Like
Yeah,
that's
100%,
you know what I
right.
mean? It's like
Make me cry. Make me
that's
cry,
it. I
yeah.
mean, I want to feel terrible about myself after it's over. At the end credits, I want to figure out if my life is worth it.
I've done that multiple times. You leave the theater. Last time I did that was like that Triangle of Sadness. Did you ever see that?
I didn't see
movie?
that one. No.
My God. It'll just like reconfigure your brain emotionally about people and relationships, and right, that thing did a dance for me. Man.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Same thing.
Did the same thing for me.
Cried.
I was like,
cried
I
for like
was
20
more like I
minutes.
just like watched the screen when it was over, and I was just like, when you catch yourself sitting there, like, how long have I been sitting here? Like it was like one of those. I was like, holy cow, that
When
was
the popcorn sweeper is like, buddy, let's go.
Pick up a room, Joe, or let's go.
You trying to get some side work? What's going on here, man? Get out
Guys,
of
times
here.
are tough, guys. Times are tough.
You're in LA. We're supposed to be doing a show tonight.
We are.
Are you popping for something specific? Are you allowed to talk about
I
it?
here for this. You
did.
invited me.
Yeah, that's huge. That's
I said,
that's a
you know,
big deal.
I'm a huge fan of you, and I was like, I can't miss this opportunity. So
That's
I came
100%
out.
true.
I have a show in San Francisco tomorrow, so I came out a day early to do this.
Where are you doing it at?
I'm at the San Francisco.
Cobb's Punchline?
No, I'm at the theater. It's,
The theater?
It's,
The
on.
Egyptian or?
I should probably say.
Isn't it
Well,
always
this
sad?
isn't going to go out today. They're going to
No.
miss it anyway.
Well, it's going to be gone. It's going to be gone. But isn't it sad when we don't even know the name of the theater that we're playing? Which, by the way, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, you can look.
You look up. There's the Orpheum, the Curran, the Castro, the Golden Gate.
I think
Victoria.
it's the Palace of Fine Arts.
I think that's what it is. I bet you that's.
I think
what
that's it. It's the Palace of Fine Arts.
Palace of Fine Arts.
Yeah, I think so.
San Francisco, great city, underrated comedy city in the regard that people would think, and I'm being political for no other reason than it's obvious, but people do this thing where they're like, oh, San Francisco, everybody must be, stuck up, liberal, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, oh, sensitive, blah, 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 whatever these catchphrases are and buzzwords. The opposite.
Yeah.
I've had the most fun in San Francisco, like unhinged, fun, goofball, weirdo, experimental sets up there.
Yeah.
And it's completely opposite of what people
peg it as.
Yeah, 100%. It's this weird, and we do this coastal thing where we're like, oh, what is that city like? People do that all the time, and I go, you'd be blown away. It's amazing. Like
great city.
Someone just said that to us when we were on the road, and they said, well, it's something like Kansas City, and I go, Kansas City's incredible.
Unbelievable.
It's an incredible comedy town, a great culture town, bars, restaurants. 100%. I was like, you're off, and I think that happens to Americans because they get this impression on the internet,
right,
of like a place, and they're like, that must be what
That's
place
it.
is like.
Or it's the way it's portrayed in like things,
And it's
like,
just been in culture for so long.
Yeah, for sure.
And some of them are true, right? So, like Texas.
It's a Fargo.
Yeah, Fargo's Fargo.
Fargo is Fargo, yeah.
And Texas is Texas. They know they're Texas. They feel it. That that's you literally think it's a joke that it's like everything's big. They are that way.
They are.
You do a show down there and they're like, that's right, boy.
Yeah.
You better believe it, dude. You're like, all right, buddy.
This is how it goes here in Texas.
I'm out of here soon, man.
I'm like,
please don't hurt me.
I just wanted a Sprite.
Yeah. I'll get in and out, man. I'll be as fast as I can. Yeah. You said when you said you're Sicilian, I'm Siciliano too.
Nice.
My dad's family's from Sicily. Do you know what part of Sicily you're from?
I do not.
No, you never went down there. Have
No,
you ever
not
been?
yet. I haven't been. And everybody gets
Gotta
so
go,
disappointed. I know.
go.
It was. We were going to do it for our honeymoon, but I was like, I want to see Italy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna. On my honeymoon, I just wanted to relax, so we didn't do it. And I was like, I'll go. And now I think I'll probably end up doing it for like my 50th birthday or something like that. My kids are too young now.
Yeah,
They
what
could,
you mean
carry
too
me.
young to enjoy it?
So yeah, too young to like to walk around and everything.
Well, yeah, because they'll get annoyed
Yeah,
and
no,
I want to
carry me.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I want gelato. Okay.
Right. We'll get them in one of those wagons. Everyone has like those pull wagons I see all the time now. Just
Shopping
throw them in a
carts?
thing. Is that what they are? Yeah.
I'm just on the streets of Tuscany, like, hi guys, excuse me. I gotta return this.
You guys want gelato? No, these things, the little tykes. Yeah, I see those things all the time now.
little
People just
Red Wingers,
hauling
yeah.
kids. And get them. Oh, thanks. He's gonna buy one for us. Yeah, get an elite stroller
Oh
wagon.
man, I do. I used to sell these kind of things. I worked at Giggle, a baby store, a high-end baby store, for 7 years.
What?
And I used to sell. Yeah, I used to sell like $1,000 furniture. It's crazy.
Wait, Giggle is it
Giggle was the
online?
name-
It's a
was the
physical
name
brick
of
and
it.
mortar.
It was a physical brick and mortar. I was their first personal shopper in Soho, New York.
Whoa!
And then I ended up working there with them 7 years. Ended up being their training program manager, and that's the job I left to do Jokers.
Wait, 7 years
7
you worked
years,
there. So you were obviously good. They kept you on.
I'm
You
a
were
salesman.
killing it.
I'm a salesman. Yeah, my sales career started out here in '03. I moved out to LA to chase the dream to be a screenwriter, a movie director. I ended up working at Nordstrom's at the Grove.
God bless.
And I crushed it.
Yeah.
Crushed it. And I ended up getting poached from there to open up HD Buttercup in Culver City.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah, so I
dude.
got poached from there, and I was a personal shopper there. And then I moved back to New York.
HG Buttercup, by the way, you want to talk about people that don't know what that is. It used to be an old bakery here in Culver City. It was an old bakery building, and they turned it into an elitist furniture store.
100%.
And it's beautiful. And the couches are like 30 grand, and
Dude,
a mirror will be a mirror. There's a mirror. We looked at them. We went there one time. There was a mirror that was like $6 grand.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does it show me?
Yeah.
Does it? What could it show
Am I the
me?
fairest of them all?
Yeah, seriously.
I did.
I couldn't believe it.
I worked out this thing with them. So they poached me from Nordstrom, and when I got the job, I always did this thing where we were like, you always make the job that you want. That was like the rule I made. So
Right.
whenever I interviewed for a job, I'd be like, okay, and I was like, and I'll be the personal shopper here, and they're like, oh, what's that? And they'll be like, oh no, we're just needing you to be like either a store manager, assistant manager, or whatever. I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm looking for a personal shopper role, and they'd be like, well, what's that? And I'm like, well, I would just greet customers, sell them whatever they need in the store, be able to sell the whole store, not just work in one department. Because that store, H.G. Buttercup, has a bunch of little retailers in between. Then everybody hired their own people. But I want to be able to sell the whole store because that's how you make the shkadol. So I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I was like, I'd like to be able to sell the whole store. They're like, well, you won't know all the product. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll know all the product. Because there's a lot of product in there. And I was like, I'll take care of that. I'll bullshit my way. So I was able to cover and sell the whole store, and I worked them out to give me 5% commission.
5%?
5% commission.
What's usual, like 2 or 1? Yeah.
You start at 2.5. So I ended up getting 5% commission. And there was an antique section in the back left-hand corner, which was being run by this guy who was like, I forget his name, but I think it was the most like miserable, like he just didn't, like he was just doing this job and just nobody ever went in there, right? So one day, Dave has to go pick up his, it was like kids' school night or whatever. He had to go like see his teacher, the kid's teacher. He's like, Joe, it was like a half hour left. He's like, Joe, could you just watch that? I'm there. Fine. I go. After he leaves, little old lady comes in. She walks in. Hey, excuse me, could you? Yeah, I help you. We're walking all this stuff. She's like, oh, this armoire is beautiful. I'm like, oh, this is the best armoire. This is mahogany. This is mahogany. This is
oak.
She's like, it really reminds me of the one that my late husband had. She's like, I'll take it. I was like, okay. I was like, have you dealt with? I'll call him Frank. Have you dealt with Frank before? She goes, oh no. She's like, it's my first time in here. I'm like, all right. I was like, I'll sell it to you. I look at the price tag. It's $30,000. I was like, dude, I just put this on my back and just walk out. Like, what do you want me to do right now?
I'll carry it.
Yeah, so
I'll carry it to your house.
So she did it. I bought it. I got the commission. The next day he came in and he was like, where's the armoire? I was like, I sold it.
We sold it. I sold actually everything inside.
Went to the longest lunch I've ever seen. He was just defeated like Eeyore walking out to lunch. Like this poor guy. Felt so bad.
That is, I mean, you must have had the skill. I mean, honestly, and that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah. Any good talker, comics, we could sell anything. Yeah. You know, like that was kind of how I got it from my dad. Yeah. You know, this guy. I mean, you know, the joke. It's like you could sell ice to an Eskimo. It's like he could convince people of the thing that they need. Sure. My grandfather was a big hustler when he was alive. Yeah. Yeah, dude, this guy, you want to talk about a hustler. I have a character that I do based on him. Oh, yeah? Yeah, because he literally, genuinely, he was a hustler. He never had a gig. When he was a kid, he was a numbers runner for the boys. Yeah. and notably so. It wasn't even like a secret. It was kind of like a thing that they were comfortable talking about because he was just in and out and had a lot of friends in that world. And then when he learned how to go to the factories, grab wholesale stuff, and just sell it at street value. Amazing. He was like, why doesn't everybody do this? So he would literally, when I was a kid, we'd walk into a restaurant. If it was like a mid-range restaurant, you know, where it's like mom and pop, but it's kind of a little bit nicer. Yeah. He'd walk right into the kitchen. And I'm not exaggerating at all. I've seen him do this multiple times. He'd walk into the kitchen and he'd be like, who's the manager? And the manager would come out and be like, who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you doing back here? He's like, dude, these mats aren't up to code. These rubber mats, you know, the floor mats, the no-slip mats in the kitchen. He goes, these aren't up to code. And he's like, who the fuck are you? You know, it's Chicago. It's like, there's no, like, gullibleness out of these people. They're like, get the fuck out of... And he's like, no, man, you ought to flip these right now. I have some in my car right now. I'll do it for you right now. And the guy's like, dude, get out of here. My grandfather would physically take them, rip the mats up, put them outside in the trash and go put in new mats and just be like, you know, 2 for $5, but I'll give you the, and they would do it and they'd pay him. Oh my goodness,
that's amazing.
Part of it was bully tactic.
Yeah, that's right.
Part of it was like, you know, you better do this because we come around here a lot, you know? But that's how my grandfather made a living. And my dad obviously adopted that, but took the sensible part and knew how to talk to people. Yeah. Just knew how to convince them of shit.
100%.
But that's what we got. That's how our world is speaking to as comedians. Yeah. You're just selling a joke.
Do you find yourself truthful?
On stage?
Yeah.
No, it's honestly like I weave in the world of like a lot of times my stories are based on separate things that I've made one story. Yeah. So a lot of it is truth, right? There's a lot of stories that are just raw, the thing that happened. But a lot of times I'll peel from something that happened to me when I was a kid or something that happened as an adult and they have a similar tie. Yeah. So I'll just link them too. I do that all the time. I feel like a lot of comics kind of weave these narratives. Or like a friend of mine had a joke that they just wrote and it's so good and they didn't want to call out the person that, you know what I mean? They didn't want it because the person would have known. Yeah. And so I said, just change it to a family member that you don't have, like a brother or sister. Right, do you not have a sister? You not have a brother? Yeah. Just say my brother or my sister that doesn't exist. Who gives a shit? Right. They don't know. It doesn't make the joke any, you know, like it still makes it funny.
Makes you comfortable to say it.
100%. Yeah. And I said, all that's doing is showing the ownership. It's a family member. It's a relationship tie. They get that, and that's it. Then the person that you're really talking about doesn't feel embarrassed or hurt or. Yeah. So I do that a lot. I'll change stuff to make sure that I'm not, you know.
Incriminating people.
Yeah, or hurting someone.
That story was really about your uncle. You're like my grandfather.
So my Uncle Steve, yeah. No, that was about my grandpa. That motherfucker. He was.
Yeah.
But do you do that? What do you do? Are you all gut?
I'm
Are
a
you-
storyteller. Yeah,
all story.
I'm pretty much.
But is some of
story.
your stories?
There. I mean, out of it, there's only probably a couple embellishments, but not much at all. Like most of the stuff is crazy. I'm also, this is my first hour, so
Right.
I mean, I imagine my next ones as I'm building my next one and stuff. It'll be a little.
Because
bit
how many years now in stand up?
1.5, almost
Yeah,
2.
as it goes, buddy.
Yeah,
You're gonna
yeah,
start
it's
peeling
doing
apart.
that.
Well,
But
yeah,
I've also started like doing that. But like one of the stories I tell on stage is just happened literally from a sentence. I'm good friends with Steve Byrne.
Yeah.
Byrne and I
Oh, yeah.
we do our podcast
Nashville
together too.
now.
He's the best. Yeah,
Love
Byrne's great.
Bernie.
And so he did. I was telling the story about we had gone to Disneyland with my son, and we went on that Star Wars ride. My son's 5 years old at the time.
Perfect.
Doesn't know Star Wars, doesn't understand a ride. We're in outer space. I turn and he's hugging the railing, going, "I want to go back to Earth," screaming. And I
my
tell him that
God.
story. He's like, "That's hysterical." He's like, "You got to tell that story on stage." I'm like, "Well, I just told you the story." He's like, "No, but like tell the story."
Right.
So then I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I was like trying to figure out the whole thing, and I just worked on it and stuff. And now it's probably one of my favorite things I do on stage. And it just came from like a moment. So now I think what I had to work on mostly, because when I was on stage with the guys, most of my career I've been in an ensemble, 1 of 4,
Right.
25% of the funny. If your joke sucks, somebody will pick it up for you. No big
You were
deal.
more than 25.
I know. We
You
all
were picking
know.
up the slack of some of those guys. Trust me.
Like, oh, my back. But the thing was like it'd be interesting to see if like you had an off night or you weren't like feeling it, like somebody will pick you up and you could just get through your stuff
Right.
and whatnot. And like that was the biggest change for me. It was like, oh, it's you for 65 minutes. You got to do this.
It's all you.
It's all you. But
Right.
with that came the responsibility and the empowerment of this was a great show. I did great.
Right.
Or it was a bad show. I got to be better. You know what I mean? So it was like that, which I never had. So that was the biggest thing for me was like, okay, how do I put together this show that I'm 100% responsible for, that I'm 100% proud of, and that I feel like people are getting what they want when they come to see me.
Yeah.
And once I got that, and I was like, boom, I love this.
You're good to go. Right. That was always my crush with stand up, which is why I never sketch and improv. I always enjoyed from afar as a fan.
Yeah.
But man, I always loved stand up because it was all my fault. It was all my success.
You
and
like
all
it
my
better
fault.
than acting?
Stand up?
Yeah.
Oh, by a landslide.
Really?
Yeah, it's not even close. I mean, I started as a stand up, right? I started
course.
stand up. I don't even know now. 16 years ago or whatever, 17 years ago, and acting I got into later, and I always liked the idea of it. But the difference was, I like all the pressure.
Yeah.
I like all the.
But you're a good actor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But to be honest, like this sounds condescending, but with acting, like it's not this. It is pressure, but it's a different pressure.
Yeah.
You have someone to rely on. I can do another take.
Right.
What do I give
Right,
a shit?
100%.
That gave me
The
so
other
much.
take is unbelievable. Like the editing.
I get to
you
go
know?
again?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
To me, the only time I ever felt pressure was when it was someone I was performing with on camera that I respected a lot, and I wanted to make sure I did them right.
Right.
That was it. Outside of that, I couldn't care less.
That's like me coming on this podcast.
100%.
Make sure I'm doing.
Yeah, well, you're doing okay. He's taking notes about how bad you're doing. Yeah, he's doing okay.
It's gonna be a 17-minute episode.
This is gonna be
Lots
me,
of edits.
It's just gonna be me talking to myself. We're just gonna superimpose my. No, but I feel like when you're performing live with your friends, the pressure, even if it's 25%, like you say, which is not true. I mean, you guys are all doing 100. Everyone has to do
Yeah.
100 to meet each other at this point. And it's so great that pressure is there of success or failure. Because when a joke hits, my God, there's nothing like that.
Yeah, for
There is no scene I've ever shot that feels the way that you do when like you're up there with the boys and it's humming.
Oh, that's interesting.
There's something.
Do you watch stuff that you've acted in with people?
I don't watch anything that I don't really watch stuff that I've done.
Well, good thing other people do.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank God. No, but he knows I'm bad. I really can't stand it. I get the anxiety is
So-
like editing a special
Yeah.
is real tough for me. So watching a scene from a television show or a film, my God, take me
goodness.
out back and shoot me. I don't
Okay.
want to.
Yeah.
It's tough to watch because I overanalyze. I pick myself
for sure.
apart. Everyone else, I don't even see when I'm watching if I watch something I've done, I immediately get annoyed at how poor this thing is, or I don't like the way I did that, or I said something. It's like I don't know. I don't want to pick it apart. With stand up, it's here and now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't matter. So, no, I can't do it, man. I can't do
The
it.
weirdest thing for me is when we did the movie and we did the premiere, like to watch in a movie theater with a bunch of people, and it was like all right, my family was with me, and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird to see it. And then when we got some laughs at like some stuff that I did, like they made me, I don't know if you saw the movie, they made me a cave monster,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It was
yeah.
one of my favorite things I've ever done because I pulled
That was
off-
the real you, by the way.
I
Yeah.
pulled off that's what I look like. This is all makeup. Take me 2.5 hours. I'm in the chair before I come out. But when I did that, it started with an idea of me being like, because we started and I was with Henchy. Chris Henchy was the director. And I'm like, and he was like, all right, how do you want to, he's like, how do you want to join the crowd? And I was like, I want to come from the ravine. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, I want to go around the back where you're not allowed to go. It was this cave with a tour. And
Right.
the thing was, I was supposed to got lost in the cave years ago, and I turned into a cave monster. I had a T-shirt on that said, I'm the beef. And I was like, got lost in the late 80s. And then I grew up in this cave, and then, I found this, right? So that's the stupid premise. But I was like, to surprise the boys and to get into it really well, I said, I want to come out of the darkness. I was like, how do we do that? And he's like, let me find out. And there was like, literally had to like open this gate, had to wait for the key to come through. We went around and they're waiting for me. And I go around the back and it was a guy who works there, who was like a security guard who didn't know we were filming that day. And here I come down the thing.
Looking
and
like
I'm like walking down. I go, "Sup, man?" He's like, "Hey, man." And I go, "I'm supposed to be here." He goes, "All right." And he just watched me and just that little moment in my head, I put me in such a funny, good mood because I just messed with this guy who had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this is really funny. And then when I come out from the darkness and the guys see it, not knowing where, and I just hear them in my ear going crazy. And I was like, oh, that set up that scene. So when I watched that scene on the movie, I know all that going into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I really hope this hits.
Right.
And it did. And I
Of
was like,
course.
oh, thank God. If it didn't, I'd be like, oh, shit, man. All that.
But that's
you know?
that feels that feeling of like celebrating with people. Like I get it. I
Yeah.
know why people love it. I just
Yeah, you're not programmed that way.
Oh man, it just gets my bones shake. Like when we go to like a premiere, I'm always like, God, I don't want to see it, man. I don't know. There's something about it that gives me the nerves. But I think stand up, the failure and the success are easily the best feeling I've ever had. If you told me I could never act again or I could never do stand up again,
Oh, for sure.
I'd put acting to bed
Really?
today. Yeah, I enjoyed my time, but I can't give up the thing that I like the most.
That's great.
Because it's nice to beat yourself up a little bit. If you're only acting, and once you get into acting and you're doing well and you get booked on jobs, and if you are in the thing, in the machine, you're going to keep working a little bit. You can kind of find new jobs and, you get some accreditation. And then it's like, you're kind of rewarded continuously thereafter, right? You're treated better as you go on, and the bigger job you get. With stand-up, dude, you could be killing in a theater one night, then go to work out material locally and be eating shit.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
And as actors have an ascension, they don't really get that. They do this like gradual rise and then eventually they all crash, which everybody does. I mean, everyone's career kind of goes down once you get that
There's
big.
a bomb or whatever that they do, and then they're like, okay, what's the next one? It can't be as bad as that one.
Right, and but that kind of has to be the path. Like they have little clicks in the meantime, but with stand-up, dude, you have these extremes where like, we just did the Gorge with Byrne on tour. It's 15,000 people. And then a week later, I was working out new stuff here in town, and I'm eating bags of shit, And it's like that juxtaposition is what you need to kind of stay sane a little bit, I think, as a performer. So I think that's why it's healthy.
It's also control, right? Like you say what you want to say.
Yeah,
you're putting out there what you want.
Right, that's the other-
it, and you're not dependent on somebody else doing well.
Right, that's the other trick is like, especially if you're on something where they want you to say the words to the book, that's always tough. You know what I mean? Again, as the goofball kid, I'm like,
man, forget
you want me to say
Do you
all
want it
this shit?
funny or do you want it what's written?
Exactly. And they're like, oh, you think you're going to do it better than this? You're like, yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah.
If I'm being honest, yeah.
How about one for me?
Yeah. Let's do one. Let's get one more for me. Well, that's the best part, right? Is that there's the endless amount of takes. Is there's no,
100%.
So now you're on tour. You go to San Francisco and you're building for an hour, or you're shooting an hour because you said the hour.
Yeah, I'll end up shooting this hour. Yeah.
This is the
So
one.
I've been doing an hour.
You're ready to go.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
ready
it.
to go.
Do you know
yes.
where you want to shoot it?
I'm shooting it in New York at the Paramount on Long Island. I love that theater. I'm
Beautiful.
from Long Island. So.
You are from Long Island.
Yeah. Well, I live out there now. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Staten Island originally, but I've been.
I was gonna say you're Staten Trash, right?
Yeah,
and
Staten
then you
Trash.
moved out to
Trash
Long
Island. Yeah.
Trash
Yeah. I
Island.
moved. I upgraded to the better island. But yeah, I'm gonna do that, and I'm really excited about that. And,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Would you have a date that you're going to shoot it? Do you already know?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it I'm gonna be at the end of this tour, so we'll probably sometime in March.
Beginning of next year.
Beginning of next year, yeah. But I'm playing the Beacon, which I'm really excited about.
Huge.
Which is great.
New
So,
York.
Yeah, New York.
How
so,
great is that,
Yeah,
man?
I'm so excited.
That's one of those spots, right? Everybody the Beacon is kind of one of those like I played the New York Comedy Festival and I did Town Hall, and I thought that was such like a cool moment because you're like, God, imagine all the great things that have come through here, and then I get to just be me and
Yeah.
do that. It always makes me laugh when we play like these beautiful historic theaters on our tour, and I'm like, we're doing dick and fart jokes. You know, like
This is
Pavarotti
hand
sung
chiseled.
here.
This is hand chiseled.
Yeah.
This is emerald
Right.
chalice chandelier, and I'm like, oh, you know,
That was sent, that was sent 2 centuries ago from the queen of, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, right on. So are they going to be able to see my butthole from this angle? Or, I mean,
I need to turn.
that's exactly how our shows are. It's like that juxtaposition is what makes me laugh about these beautiful theaters. Are you going to self-distribute, by the way?
I'm just gonna make it and see what happens.
Good, that's the move. Who
So.
cares?
Yeah,
Right.
because the other thing is like I'm honestly just kind of doing it for me because to work so hard on something for like 2 years and
Yeah.
then for not to keep it is crazy to me. Like
Yeah,
if
push
I
it out.
just film it and do it, like I know how to produce, so I'm like I'm just gonna self do it. And that's
Now
it.
are you want to do everything on your own? Or you're at least hiring out a company, or you're like, I'll direct it, I'll do all that
Well,
stuff.
no, I've done all that. So I directed Byrne's last special.
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
great. Yeah. So I've
The only problem with Byrne's last special was the guy doing the jokes. That was probably the worst part about it.
that was hard.
Yeah.
we tried to shoot around it, didn't work.
What could you do? You did your part very well.
I did.
It looked
I did.
beautiful.
It looked great. It looked
But the
great.
man up there, blah blah blah. That was probably the shout out to Steve Byrne. Great guy, great comic. I
Best.
chased him out of town. By the way, I told him you better leave. I said, get out of LA. Get out of here. You better get out of here.
Yeah, sure.
I don't want
Yeah.
to put up with you
He's
anymore.
crushing. I tell you, he comes on the road with me sometimes, and it's the best, man. We do our podcast, Two Cool Moms, together,
Yeah.
and that's been a good time for me. We've always wanted to work together on something. I know him like 10 years, and then when my life took a change and I had some time to open up, and I was like, let's try to do a podcast together. And,
Yeah.
and we tried, and we started just talking about stuff. The first version we had of it was called Yin Yang Parmesan.
Pretty good.
and then we just both started really talking about our moms and realized what like powerful figures they were growing up and how much stories we had about them, and then how we always went to each other for advice. Like I'm one of his confidants, he's one of mine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so let's just wrap it around this. So that's how we ended up like coming up with that format. And I just love it. I just think it's.
Do you
so
guys
fun
shoot
to
in
do.
New York, or do you?
We do in New York.
Yeah, you do. So because he's down there, he just flies up to you.
He comes up there. We're part of iHeart now. We're part of the
Oh, right on. Good. That's
podcast
great.
network. So we're doing it.
Well,
from
he's
the-
born. He's a Pittsburgh guy, right?
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Right.
Yeah. He actually grew up in Jersey.
Oh, he did.
For a little bit. Yeah, Manalapan,
wow.
New Jersey, and then he did most of his in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
We just did a run through Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is so.
Dude,
it's-
when we were talking earlier, that's one of the cities when people are like, oh, what's the city that surprised you and you liked? Pittsburgh. I couldn't
Pittsburgh,
believe
yeah.
it. And then people go, Pittsburgh? I'm like, yeah,
well,
Pittsburgh.
it's same thing with Rochester, right? Rochester.
Rochester, New York?
Oh yeah, you weren't there, right? We left you. Thank God. I didn't want you to come.
Yeah,
Yeah,
now it's
scumbag.
awkward.
Yeah. No, we're.
Let's talk about what you told me why you left.
Yeah. No, let's do it. Bad behavior,
Yeah,
bad
I mean,
attitude.
the attitude is really
disrespectful, sleeping in,
It's it,
not doing his job on time.
Or
giving-
just an overall ineffectiveness, which
I'm
we really
giving
wanted to talk to
McConey
you
a lot
about.
of shit, but you know what? This week he's actually been a really good help on this show and me and Bob's show. So I give you a little. I'll give you a little bit of credit in front of someone I very much respect to someone I don't respect at all. You understand? You get how this works?
He says it because he loves you. Don't worry about it.
That's right. Dude, this kid grew up, like, this is the thing. Like, I meet his parents. He's a Midwest kid. It's immediately why I take to him. And I meet his parents, and these are Minnesota people. There is, they're rich, like beautiful soil. I mean, they're
Yeah.
deep. They're lovable. They're smart.
And they made you the ivy that's just poison.
That's right. And I'm growing all over it. And I'm going to kill it.
Yeah,
Trust me, I'm going to
Strangling
smother
to
it. and
death.
it looks nice, but it's killing.
How pretty is
it's
that?
actually killing
It's so nice.
everything.
The tree is dying, is
Right.
what we're saying.
Right,
Get
right.
out now. Do what you can.
Yeah, you should run. But these are good people, and you just feel like it is so interesting when you meet these Midwest
For sure.
people that it's like they don't have a bad bone in their body. You can't find the flaw in some, like his parents, these kind of people. It's the reason that I took to him, because I was like, he got to have good core, even if he's rotten on the outside.
So you met his parents. Were like, do you have offspring? I want to take it.
Well, no, let me tell you something. His parents are like my age. That was like the weirdest thing, to meet them at one of our shows.
Yeah.
Where were we when we met your parents? Where'd they come? Baltimore? I don't know.
Oh, be more.
We were
yeah.
doing an East Coast run, and they came through. Yeah, and it's so funny because I forget, he's 24. His parents are like our age. And
Oh,
I
my
go, like,
goodness,
how,
yeah.
How gross, though.
Yeah,
It's like,
this is-
I'm thinking they're going to be like real, older adults, and no,
Yeah.
they're kids.
You're just out here crushing it, 24 years old. God bless you.
He's doing okay. We're about.
Did you
to
ever
get
work
rid
at
of him.
Nordstrom? Did you ever sell?
Yeah. You couldn't sell shit at Nordstrom.
That's
I'll tell you
right.
that.
Yeah.
Wait, I actually, that's funny. We cruised too fast, but the baby company that you work for in New York, was it like selling? It was just selling rich people cribs and stuff.
Cribs, gear, like strollers,
Super
carriers. Yeah, just all high end.
That's great about New York.
Oh,
New York is like the place you can do. You can kind of do that here, but you can really do that in New York.
For sure.
New York is where that stuff
Sure.
is like.
I put this company on pretty much out of business that was doing because I oversold. I sold too many of their highest end crib that they couldn't keep up with their manufacturing. They
Shut
tried to
up.
move to another manufacturer. I swear. They tried. It was a $3,000 crib system.
$3,000?
$3,000.
What do you mean? It's crib system.
Crib
You say like,
system.
is it prison too?
Crib
Yeah.
system
Is there solitary confinement?
converts all the way up to a twin bed.
No
Unbelievable
way.
system. Yeah, it was great.
What's it called? Do you know what it's called?
I forgot the name of it at this point, but it was
That's
available. It was
crazy.
available in a couple different colors, right? And the hottest color that sold was the espresso, was the dark wood.
As it
so
would,
I was,
as it
I
would.
was just, I just kept selling it, and the person that they were getting it from couldn't manufacture it quick enough. So like, we got to go find a new manufacturer. They switched to a new manufacturer. It ends up being shit. They sold all this product. They had to return all this money.
Ugh.
It was crazy. So I was like, oh, I just broke this company.
It's not your fault.
Not my fault.
That's their fault.
That's their fault.
Yeah,
I still got my commission.
Yeah, you did the right thing. A $3,000 crib. I don't have any kids, but I don't know. But my instinct says $3,000
It's a
for
lot
a
of
crib
money.
is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Well,
And back in, I'm talking.
I was gonna say, this has gotta be
2007.
20 years ago?
Yeah, 2007.
Yeah, 16, 17.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
absurd.
yeah. It was nuts.
What does an average crib cost in the real world today?
In
I
the
actually don't know. My ignorance is disgusting.
On the real world today, no, you could get a normal crib for $800, $700.
Okay, right.
Yeah, a good crib for $700. You could get cribs for like $30 if you wanted.
Well, sure, that's the one I'd get for sure. I would just put up on those dog fences that we had for my
But
dog.
it was also the age of the Bugaboo. That
Oh,
show,
yeah,
that big
yeah,
show. So
yeah.
I was deep in that Bugaboo money. Oh,
So when you left to get with the boys, when you left, honestly, was it hard because you were like, man, this is guaranteed money. This thing.
I was
is...
the first one to quit my job.
You were.
I
Your
had to.
first one out. You didn't
All
even
in.
think twice.
I thought for a second. So I took my 2-week vacation shooting the pilot. We shot the pilot.
Right.
Then they ordered it, and I needed 6 months. So I said to my CEO at the time, Allie, I said, I need a 6-month hiatus. She goes, oh, so you're quitting? I said, no, it's just a hiatus. She's
Yeah.
like, no, you're quitting. It's all right. If,
No,
you,
no,
if
no,
it
I'll be
doesn't work,
back.
I said, I'll be back. She's like, well, no. She's like, you'll be a TV star, and then you'll never worry about us. But if it doesn't work out, you're always welcome to come back. But I can't keep your job for 6 months. She's like, we'll see what happens. So I was like, okay. So I was like, oh, I got to quit. But Sal at the time was owned a bar and was a bartender.
Right, that I
So
know,
he was working
yeah.
his overnights. Q was a fireman. He was working overnights and would come to shoot. And Murray was working as for the production company that ended up producing the show. So they all had job security.
Wow.
So when I quit, I was like, oh man, but I was all in. But it's all I concentrated on, which was good because then I learned from the production of it.
Right.
So that really amped me up for 10 years to just be basically showrunner, producer, director, all of it, writer. Like I was just hyper focused on this thing for the first 2 years. The guys, I think for the first 2 years kept their jobs. And they
Wow.
didn't quit. Yeah, but
You were
I was
all
all
in.
in the edits and stuff. But I think
And that's why you're the best
that
of all of
was-
them.
that was
That's
it.
actually the truth. That's really
no, I think it's why I have a different skill set.
Right,
I think
right.
it's why, like, I always wanted to be a director when I grew up. That's what I'll be when I grow up. I'll be a writer director. I want
Right.
to make movies. I always loved film growing up. So it was like that, scratched that itch for me. It wasn't just like, because I never wanted to be in front of the camera. I was like, if I wasn't me on that show, I don't think I would act. I never want to act. I'm not an actor.
You just wanted to put it together.
I just wanted to put it together, and I got to be myself and make my friends laugh. So it was a perfect combination for me.
Man, that's
that was
incredible.
weird.
To think that you never wanted to be in front of the camera. Like, well, it's a hard thing to admit, unless you're like, Brad Pitt, where you're like, I get it. You want people to see what you look like,
You want to tout this out and about town? Yeah, for sure.
100%. Show that off.
Yeah, but I didn't, I think it was just the right formula for me. I'm not a good actor. I don't think I am. I don't have confidence when I do it.
No, you do. You're good at what you do.
Right.
Like there's the varying degrees of when people say good at a thing. It's the same thing in comedy. When someone's like, oh, that comic sucks. And if they're a professional, I go, no, you just don't like that style of comedy.
Exactly.
That's fine.
Say this. I couldn't agree with you more.
Because, well, dude,
when
that's the same
people
thing with
say,
every kind of food. It's like that food genre sucks. You're like, you just don't like to eat it.
Yeah, you just don't like Indian food.
Many people like that.
I know,
In
yeah.
fact, billions of people like it. But that's what's so annoying to me is like when someone's made a career, a profession as something, no matter what it is, and somebody goes, it sucks. It's like, no. You hate it. It's obviously working somewhere else.
For sure.
Because a lot of people must enjoy
You're not
it.
the target.
Right, that's fine. And that's so but that's the same thing I say. You are a good actor in what exactly that you do. And you could stretch further if you tried. I mean, who knows? But what you guys do on the show, you're acting. I mean, you're all acting.
I mean, the characters that I play were always fun because you always end up playing.
Yeah, you dive into
something,
something.
you know,
So
yeah,
that
for
is
sure.
no, truly you are, and you are very good, and you're better than all those guys. I will say, Q is atrocious. No, I'm kidding. No, but I'm taking shots for no reason.
For no reason?
Yeah, no, it's.
Did you ever meet Q?
No, I never met.
You
I
met
know-
Sal, though.
Sal's the only guy I really like.
Yeah.
Know out of the boys.
Yeah.
In a perspective of like had dinner with, you know what I mean, like gone out and
Yeah, like why haven't we
gotten
gone
a little
to
close.
dinner?
Can I be honest with you?
Sure.
Because of the stuff that you, I mean, look, I've read the thread online you posted about me. It's not nice. It's really not
I
nice.
started a thread
Ginger
about you.
Freak, it's called. That thread that you
Yeah,
started?
but it's with love. There's an asterisk.
There is.
And
You're
I
right.
spelled freak wrong.
Yeah, you did spell it. Yeah. I thought you just couldn't spell Frick. Ginger
It's
Frick.
Fricke.
Ginger Frick.
Ginger Fricke.
Why come to New York? I'd love to. I'd love to go out to
dude,
dinner with
I
you.
would love to.
If you'll come to the city, I can't go to Long Island. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I go to the city.
Okay,
It's
you have
okay.
to. You don't have a choice.
I love the city.
That is one of those things where when I go, if I do, I have friends that are all over New York as years have gone on, and a lot of them have families now, or they move, or they're out a little bit. And when they're like, "Hey man, can you come to wherever?" I'm always like, "Buddy,
Port Washington's not
it's
for me.
not. What are we talking about?" I mean, the last time I did, my good friend Ari, who is an actor that I worked on a show with, I drove up to Wallkill to see her.
Oh, wow.
You know what that is? Yeah, Wallkill.
Wow.
That's way.
That's a good friend.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I love her, and I haven't seen her in years. And
Yeah.
she bought a house up there, and I said, "I'm gonna come. I want to come. I really want to come see you."
Sweet.
And so we went up there. Me and my buddy Chris O'Connor. Do you know Chris? Stand up, great stand up.
Yeah.
But we went up there because I said, you know what, dude, let's go get a meal and go hang out in the woods because
Yeah.
you know, living in here,
That's
this
an
chaotic
experience
place, and
like that,
in the New York chaotic city, and I said, yeah, I don't go out to the I don't really
sticks,
get up
if
to the
you will.
sticks
Yeah.
ever. I mean, anywhere really. Like any city I travel to, you're in the gut of the thing, and you're in a hotel, and then you go home.
That's right.
And so it was nice to go out and get a home cooked meal and sit by a pond.
Like
with-
a fire pit thing,
it
actually?
was sat by a pond. Yeah,
Oh,
she has like a
nice.
pond near her and stuff. It was actually, yeah. It makes you go, man, I really want this. But then you also go, I got to get back.
I need noise.
Yeah, I
you
need.
sleep and it's like
I
one of
want
these
sound.
crickets. Yeah.
Where's the sirens?
I know, can't
Is
do
nobody
it.
dying? Yeah.
Every New Year's for a while, I used to rent a house with my family, my sisters and their kids and everybody. We used to go away and we used to do like 4 or 5 days. We'd unplug like the
Yeah.
28th to the 2nd, and just that's it. Like and
That's
hang
awesome.
out, wear pajamas the whole time. That was some of my favorite times.
Well, because it's you don't care about really anything but hanging out.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have nothing on your schedule but hang out. That's why I think the holidays are so necessary. It doesn't matter if you're religious, doesn't matter
Sure.
if you're, it's just about doing nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, can you just take a minute to do nothing at all? You don't have to believe in any of the religions or holidays or the depths of the meaning. It's just about kicking it with people.
Yeah.
At the core of it all, which is kind of nice. Like, you know, with Yom Kippur and all that stuff and the Jewish holiday that just happened. It's like, I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, you know what's so funny? At the core root of it, whether you're super religious or not, it just means, can you hang with your family and talk and enjoy each other's company without your phone or without the bullshit, the interference and the noise? And I think it's a healthy way to live. Again, this is the perspective we talked about at the beginning of the show. I think you only get that as you start to lose people, friends and family and stuff that you go, you know, like you hear those phrases where this is gross to say when they go, you're how old? You only have so many summers left.
Yeah.
Or so many Christmases left.
Yeah.
And it hits you like a brick. You're
Yeah,
like,
we're more dead than not.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Some of us more than others.
On the inside,
what I mean?
especially.
Yeah, well, that
again,
guy-
it come back to you, but you know, it's appreciate. I don't even know why. I barely know you. You let me to the bathroom. You're a nice guy. I don't know why I'm taking shots.
Oh, he took you to the bathroom?
Yeah.
What did I tell you about doing that? You got to show them where and leave them alone. He walked you in, didn't he?
It was
He
weird.
he stood
Taking
in there
the
the whole
photo
time.
was bizarre.
It's a Polaroid, right? He's like, no, I want this right now. This can't wait.
Could you sign here?
Yeah. As you're shaking, he's shaking. These will both be done at the same
That's
time.
it. We're done.
Perv, little freaky perv. So look, this will be out in a little bit, although you're going to San Francisco, but you have continuing dates coming up through March,
Yeah.
right? You're going to be continue to tour and build this beautiful hour.
Going to Australia, which would be fun.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Dude, I just got,
Yeah.
just got, what am I saying? I was there at the beginning of the
There,
year.
yeah,
I was there
so.
for 3 months or,
Oh, that's
I don't even
amazing.
know
I'm
how long
I'm
was
only
it.
going for like 2 weeks.
where are you going?
I'm doing five
cities?
Yeah, I'm doing Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and I'm going over to Auckland, New Zealand.
Oh, you're New Zealand. Great, dude.
yeah.
Not Tasmania, huh?
No, I can't do it.
Okay.
Can't do it.
Not
Legal
allowed?
reasons. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Can't do it,
Yeah,
won't
so
do
doing
it.
that. Yeah, I do. You know, I got my tour going on, which is great.
That's huge.
There's big cities, which is fun.
So we shot the movie in Melbourne. I obviously am partial to it. Dude, I got a big crush on that place.
do you?
There was a couple of moments that my wife came down for the second half and of the shoot and was like, what if we could live in a place like that? And I said, I would do it. I mean, I thought if I ever had a time in my career when I could say, I'm good for now for a while, I could go down there for a while. Man.
Oh, wow.
I love Melbourne.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about it is beautiful. It's
Australia's
just-
been on my bucket list forever since I've been like 14 years old.
You're gonna love it, man.
Yeah,
You're gonna have
can't wait to
so
go.
much fun.
Yeah.
I know you're not. You said you're not going to Tasmania, but if there's a chance to skip down there, man, is it wonderful? There's this place I've talked about ad nauseum called the Mona. Show him the Mona, Tasmania.
Yeah.
So it's a museum. This guy, it's a brilliant story too. It's so wild. The Mona is a museum where this man who is a a gambler or whatever. That's it from the outside.
Wow.
That's his home, dude. So
Isn't that from a movie?
I don't know.
There's
be
a
in
doc
film.
there. Isn't that from Mission Impossible?
I don't know. But that I have no idea. I'm not good at that kind of stuff.
I'm 95% sure that's from Mission Impossible.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Where he like pulls into it.
Where he pulls into it. I think. Oh, so he has the Mona.
So this guy was a brilliant gambler, investor, whatever. I think he did so good at gambling, and I might be telling the story wrong, but they banned him from gambling because he was kind of like learning how to card count and trick.
Yeah.
But he made all this money, like tons and tons and tons of money. So he opened up this place, built this place on the water, and he wanted to make it a museum. And he started his collection, added over the years. And so he lives there. You can physically see him sometimes walking around upstairs when you're in one of the restaurants.
It's a museum?
And it's a full museum.
That's
it's huge.
amazing.
And it continues to expand as time has gone on. But it's everything from Picasso to a guy that, a 27-year-old new artist kid that's just that lives in Australia. So he's got everything under the sun, but it's a lot of it's interactive art, which I think is incredible.
You get to paint.
You have to. You have to make something before you leave. He's got to sell something.
it's just like, come on, here you go.
No, a lot of it is like live interactive art where you physically experience. You go into a room and it's noise or sound or
Yeah.
I couldn't explain it, but it's better than that. It's one of the coolest places. Yeah, the Museum of Old and New Art, the Mona. One of the greatest places I've ever visited in my life. If you're ever down in Tasmania, please go down there.
You get a commission?
I do. I'm getting kicked back.
You get kicked
This
back.
episode of Whiskey Ginger is sponsored by Mona.
Use code Ginger Freak.
That's right. Use code WHISK. But what's great about this? This is something that I think you'll experience because you've had this experience before as you go overseas. I don't want to sound like this annoying American, but a lot of times other countries have a little bit better of a sense of humor about themselves, and they don't take themselves that serious, and they're allowed to be risque or crude or gross for the sake of the comedy. Right? Like there's a lot of comedy involved. This guy was very, very funny. So, a lot of stuff, for lack of a better example, it'd be like, this elevator doesn't work from time to time, and it's a permanent sign. It's like stuff like that where it's like, it's a beautiful joke. That in America, it's like lawsuit, panic.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, it's stuff like that I think
Refreshing,
it really is. And they do it so well, particularly at the Mona. Everything is kind of playful and loose, and it doesn't take itself that serious. But the most impressive thing, I'm going to stop rambling in a second.
No,
I'm just
I'm
promoting
enjoying
it. Artists have residencies there. So there will be a harpist in one room. There will be a pianist in one room. There'll be a physical sculptor in another room. And they start in the morning and they work all day. And then at night they show their work. So they'll play their piece or they'll show their art or whatever. And it's amazing to watch. If you had 8 hours of your day genuinely on vacation, you should go at the beginning of the day, leave, and then come back at night and look at the art or look at the music that they've made.
You see it happening and you see the end product. That's
It's
pretty cool.
incredible, dude. But they're
Oh
doing
my
it in
God,
front of
that's
and they do it in front of your face, like right in front of you.
really
It's
cool.
so amazing that they sit there.
How did you find it?
We were suggested to go to the Mona from a friend.
Oh, really?
I think
Okay.
somebody I know had suggested it to me.
So you suggested to me, so now we're friends.
There we are.
Perfect.
God bless.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. That was
No, somebody had said they have a wall of vaginas, which is one of my favorite. Look at the wall of vaginas. There is a sculpting of every vagina, and it's obvious. It's so tasteful. It's not, but it's funny. It's like lighthearted. But yes, there's a massive wall of vaginas in there, and all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant because it's pretty art. It's very pretty, but it's also, it makes everyone start a conversation.
Yeah,
but
for
not
sure.
in a gross way. Do you know what I mean?
Which one?
Yeah, pick. Mom, come here. It just makes these funny conversations. You hear everyone joking about it because it's life and it's real, and it does that thing where it takes you out of the.
Was it packed? Was there a lot of people in it?
Oh my God!
yeah.
I mean, you
So it's
saw
a spot.
the scale of this
Yeah,
place.
it's
I don't
huge.
even know, maybe 50,000 square feet or something like
Yeah,
that. It's
yeah.
endless,
Oh,
and
that's
it's
so
5 floors. And by the way, everything is underground, so
it
you
goes
go down.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's like SoFi Stadium.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It is like SoFi Stadium.
I got lost
Yeah.
in there once.
Oh, I mean, that's
It's crazy.
That is a place where you'll go to get snacks once and completely lose where you are.
It was the most insane thing. I had to go. I just walked with confidence as I do. I always do that. I just like, yeah, this is the way to go.
I'm
And I
supposed to be
ended
here.
up. I ended up in the the spiral that takes you down when somebody gets hurt on the field, and they drive them up it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just hoofing it down to the field, going through these things. And I kept opening the doors on every floor. I'm like, is this? No, this isn't it. And people were like, who are you? I'm like, yeah, I'll see you. And I shut the door and I kept going.
Just
all the way
checking to
down.
make sure the doors are still working.
Yeah, I went all
I'm
the
the
way
door
down.
guy.
Yeah, it was funny because
Would you go there for a game? Or for...
I've befriended Justin Herbert, and he he said, come down to the game. So we came
Pretty
down
cool.
before. It was really cool. It was
The
great.
Herb.
He's great, dude. He was a
The
really nice
Herb,
guy.
dude.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty cool.
we went down to a game. I brought some friends, and he said, "Yeah, just come down to the come down to the field level." That's all he told me. I was like, "Okay, great." So I walk in. I'm like, "How do I get?" I walked in up top. I'm like, "I've never seen this. First of all, like everyone's built up, right?"
cool that it's
so I'm like,
down.
"Oh," I was like, "How do I get down there?" And nobody knew. And then there was a guy who like half recognized. He was like, "Hey, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." So and I had a lanyard. Whenever I have a lanyard, look out. I was like, "Yeah." I just tapped it. I was like, "Yeah." I just gotta. He's like, "Oh," and he moved the gate, and me and 8 guys just walked by him, and we ended up in that thing. And I just kept going down and down and down. And then when we got to the bottom, I opened the door to the one floor below, and I said, "Is this the field level?" And it was literally like sport. There was like a journalist like taking video and everything. It was like there was like a conference going on. I was like, "Is this the field level?" And they were like, "No." They're like, "Who are you?" And the janitor goes, "One more down." I go, "Thanks, pal." And I shut the door and I kept going down.
You're on ESPN. Is this field
Out of the
level?
back. I was like literally interrupting everything. It was great.
Well, listen, you beautiful prince. I appreciate you coming here. I
This
know
was
you.
so
I
nice.
know you have to go fill your belly with food, and then I'm maybe going to see you at the show tonight.
I hope so.
You're on tour. People, please go see him wherever he is in your city. Where let me guess your website. Joe G is for me.
So close.
What is it?
JoeGattoOfficial.com.
All right, there it is. JoeGattoOfficial.com. We'll put the link in the description. Go see him, and then watch out for that new special that's going to be coming out hopefully at some point next year. We don't know when, but you know it'll be good. I thank you. I love you. We end the show the same way. You look into that camera right there. You're singale, and you say one word or one phrase to end the episode. Now, remember, this is going to be embedded in history forever. You know, a lot of people do one word if they're want to be real powerful and poignant. A lot of people do a catchphrase. But whenever you're ready, into that camera, you go ahead.
Be kind.
That's the best one we've had in a long time.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.